What's good, people? Samurai Lee here, back for another fight talk. Tonight, UFC 197 in Las Vegas. Really good card. It should have been John Jones and Daniel Cormier, but Cormier pulled out injured, so slight change to the main event. But we're going to start at the prelims. Carla Esparza making her return, her first fight in I think 14 months, since she was destroyed by Joanna Jędrzejczyk for her strawweight title. She's a really good fighter, Carla. She's been around the circuit. You know, she won the Ultimate Fighter. That's where she won the strawweight title. So you know, she's a really good fighter. Joanna decimated her on the feet. She absolutely took her apart. So you know, she's had over a year out now. Hopefully, she's put the holes in her game right. She's improved her stand up, and she'll come back and make another run at the title. Sergio Pettis is also on the undercard on the prelims. Another really good fighter. You know, he's one of these guys. He's got a lot of potential, a lot of raw talent, and it's time for him to start showing it now. It was a couple of fights ago. He got knocked out. He won his last fight against, I think, Chris Carrioso. So he just needs to put a win streak together. He's at a really, really good training camp, gym. You know, training with his brother constantly, and Duke Rufus, we know, is one of the the best coaches in the game. So he's got it there. He's just got to start putting it together and start improving and starting you know, he wants to be known as Sergio Pettis, not Anthony's little brother now. So it's about time he started impressing and improving and making an impact on big cards such as tonight. So I really hope he can make an impression on the fight, on the fight card, on the prelims. So yeah, that should be a good fight. As we move up the card, we have Yair Rodriguez and Andre Fili in a featherweight title. Two really good, young, exciting fighters. Both, you know, they're both relatively new, relatively inexperienced, but it should be a really good fight. And you know, the featherweight division at the minute is wide open. Holloway and Oliveira are two young fighters that are coming. You know, Cub Swanson's just made a return. We know Frankie Edgar and Jose Aldo are fighting for an interim title. We don't know what's happening with Conor McGregor at the moment, so the featherweight division could be wide open. So a good, impressive win for one of these two on a main card of a really big show such as tonight could be a big statement in progressing them forward and moving their career onto the next level. So should be a good fight. We also have Robert Whittaker. He's fighting Rafael Natal, both on 4 fight winning streaks. Whittaker's last fight was Uriah Hall. We defeated him. Natal also beat Uriah Hall in his 4 fight win streak. A little less convincingly, but a victory over Hall nonetheless. So both riding the wave at the moment. Really good to see this fight. Robert Whittaker's very young, 25, I think he is, maybe 26 now. Middleweight contenders, and they're both in contention to start pushing for a #1 contender fight now. 4 fights in a row, both won. A 5th fight, 5 win streaks in the a 5-fight win streak in the UFC is not easy. So whoever wins tonight is in a very good position to start calling out some bigger names in the division and hopefully get themselves a big fight. I think that'll be a really good fight tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing Robert Whittaker back. We move up the card. Anthony Showtime Pettis fights against Edson Barbosa. You know, what a fight this should and could be. Two great stand-up fighters, explosive fighters, inventive fighters. Both at the moment coming off losses. Showtime Pettis lost 2 in a row. He lost his last fight out there against Eddie Alvarez on a split decision. And before that, he lost his title against Rafael Dos Anjos, where he was convincingly beaten. Edson Barbosa got beat by Tony Ferguson. So they're both wanting to come back and make a statement and prove, you know, that they're far from over and they're far from finished. And you know, Terry Etten will vouch for the fact that Edson Barbosa's kicks are as vicious as anyone's in the division. We all remember that spinning wheel kick. So I predict this is going to be fight of the night, unless one of them gets knocked out early, which is also possible. So Edson Barbosa and Anthony Pettis should be a really good fight. The co-main event, Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson against Henry Cejudo for the flyweight title. Demetrious Johnson's been around, man. He's a tough guy. He's been around WEC. He's one of the pound for pound best fighters in the game. I think this is his 8th title defense. You know, he's beat people like John Dodson and Joseph Benavidez, and you know, he just looks better and better every time you get in there. He's so well rounded. He's so good at everything, and his speed and his explosive power for the weight are insane. This is Henry Cejudo's first fight at the title. You know, he's an Olympian. He's an Olympic gold medalist for wrestling. So Olympic gold medalists, you know, they're going to be a cut above. You know, I think his game plan is going to be take Mighty Mouse down and grapple him and make it a dirty fight. You know, try and lay on top of him and try and take him out of his comfort zone and bring it into what he's good at. So it'll be really interesting to see if Mighty Mouse can stay standing and stay off his back, because you don't really want to get on your back with an Olympic wrestler, that's for sure. So yeah, it's interesting. You know, we've seen upsets before, especially in these fights where the guy is relatively new. You know, so it'll be really interesting to see. I'm predicting Mighty Mouse will defend his title again, but Henry Cejudo's first shot at the big time, and as long as he can make it, you know, put his name out there and give himself a good account of himself, so people remember his name. I'm sure it won't be his first bite of the cherry. You know, we'll see what happens. On to the main event, Jon Bones Jones against OSP. We know Jones has been out of the octagon for 15 months since his, you know, all his trials and tribulations outside of the octagon, his legal issues and so on. I really hope he's got him sorted now. You know, I mean, you know, he was living a lifestyle that it wasn't indicative of an athlete, of a light heavyweight champion, of a UFC role model. So I really hope he's fixed that side, you know, the outside of it, and he's got his head right and he's training properly. He looks like he is. I mean, he looks like an animal, and I really hope he's fixed it and he's fixed himself, and he can come back and be the fighter, because for how good he is, you know, the potential he has. He's still a relatively young man. He could be the greatest of all time if he just gets it right. No doubt about that. So OSP took the fight at 3 weeks' notice when DC pulled out, which was a shame. In the long run for Jones, it might be a good thing. You know, it's a warm-up fight for Jones for Jones after being out the cage for 15 months. You know, coming back and fighting DC may have been a tall order. Who knows? But this is a good warm-up fight for him, and if he comes through as convincingly as I believe he will do against Ovince St. Preux tonight, it sets it up. UFC 200, Jon Jones, Daniel Cormier. You know, there's a main event up for grabs there now with the whole Conor McGregor situation, and if he can come back and look impressive doing it, then he could well be in line for making that slot his own. Ovince St. Preux, we know, he's a gamer. He took this fight. You got to have some ability and you got to have some confidence in yourself to do that, no doubt. But I don't think he's in Jon Jones' league. I think Jon Jones will finish him relatively early, maybe the second round, and set up the big unification fight with Daniel Cormier later in the year.